morning, ma'am. Here is my topic about behavioral learning theories in chapter 4. Pavlov classical conditioning. Pavlov Pavlovian conditioning in the parlance of psychology, behaviorism is concerned with the behavioral changes under rule of the environment. In these changes, behaviorists claim that nurture is crucial in the process of acquiring knowledge. One known behaviorist is John B. Watson in 1982, who writes that the ultimate goal of behaviorism is to derive the law to explain the relationship existing among antecedent conditions, behavior, and following conditions. The theory of behaviorism may be dichotomized into associationism and reinforcement. So, sa pagsalita ng psikolohiya, ang behaviorism maoy ka-concern sa pagbabago o pag-change sa behavioral, then ang rule of environment na siya changes o pagbabago. Sinasabi ng behaviorist na ang pag-aalaga ay mahalaga sa pagproseso sa pagkukuha ng kaalaman. Si John B. Watson mao ang gasulat na ang sukdulang layunin ng behaviorismo ay upang makakuha ng mga batas upang ipaliwanag ang relationships na umiiral sa pagitan ng antecedent conditions. So, the theory of behaviorism may be dichotomized into associationism and reinforcement. The name Ivan Pavlov in 1849 to 1936 rings a bell within the context of the association theory in behaviorism. Pavlov was a psychologist who, out of serendipity, discovered classical conditioning. In 1904, he won the Nobel Prize for his outstanding studies on the psychology of digestion. He spent the rest of his life studying reflexes of dog, which led him to the discovery of classical conditioning, also known as the association theory. Still recognized as an essential parcel of contemporary psychological knowledge, and classical conditioning has become the basis for many early learning theories. In his discovery, Pavlov found out that the sight of food does not only trigger the salivation of the dog, but any other stimulus may result to such effect if fed with the food. In other version, the salivation of the dog is influenced by associating the steps of attendant with the food. So, si Ivan Pavlov, siya ang nakadiscover sa classical conditioning. So, nakadaog siya sa Nobel Prize for his outstanding studies on the psychology of digestion. He spent the rest of his life studying reflexes of dogs, which lead him to the discovery of classical conditioning nga gitawag usab nga association theory. Sa iyang pag-discover, he found out that the sight of food does not only trigger the salivation of the dog, apan ang bisan unsang mga stimulus mahimong moresulta sa ingon nga apekto kung ipari sa pagkaon. Pavlovian conditioning in a nutshell. The theory of Pavlovian conditioning involves a set of multi-layered procedures. Initially, the food is called the unconditioned stimulus. In psychology, any environmental event that affects the organism is called stimulus. The food is an unconditioned stimulus because it leads to an unconditioned response without any learning taking place. The immediate salivation of the dog is referred to as the UCR. The UCS and UCR are considered unlearned stimulus response units termed as reflexes. Conditioning the dog requires recurrent presentation of a neutral stimulus paired with the UCS. For instance, the buzzer was sounded repeatedly but caused no dog's salivation at all. However, when the buzzer came with the food, the dog salivated. Later, by just hearing the buzzer, the dog salivated. The buzzer is now called a conditioned stimulus or CS that elicited the salivation of the dog, now termed as a conditioned response or CR. When applied in the classroom, the use of the pointer or stick to whip unruly learner in class may affect other pupils. They may associate the stick with whipping, thus triggering fear. Later, merely hearing or seeing a stick in class may elicit fear among them. This is why expert educators in the country suggest that classroom teachers should avoid using the stick pointers. Instead, they are advised to use their open palm to pointing words on the chalkboard. So, sa theory of Pavlovian conditioning, ga-involve sa set sa multi-layered procedures. Sa sinugdanan, ang pagkaon gitawag og unconditioned stimulus o UCS. Ang pagkaon usa ka unconditioned stimulus tungod kay kini modala ngadto sa usa ka unconditioned response nga walay bisan unsa. Ang pagkondisyon sa iro ay nanginahanglan og pabalik-balik na pagtatanghal ng neutral na stimulus na ipares sa UCS. Gayunpaman, kapag ang buzzer ay dumating na may dalang pagkain, naglalaway ang aso. Tinatawag na ngayon ang buzzer isang conditioned stimulus or CS na nagdudulot ng paglalaway ng aso na tinatawag na ngayong conditioned response or CR. So, other phenomena in classical conditioning. According to Boughton and Modi in 2004, when the CS is repeatedly unreinforced, that is without the UCS, the CR will eventually diminish in intensity and effect. This phenomenon is called extension. When the extension of the learning passes through time, the CR may still be restored. This recovery after extension phenomenon is termed as spontaneous recovery. This means that extension does not completely involve unlearning of the pairings. So, ayon kay Boughton and Modi, kung ang CS kuno nga or conditioned stimulus ay paulit-ulit na hindi pinalakas, ibig sabihin kung wala ang UCS, ang CR or conditioned response ay pababa sa intensity at epekto. Extension ang tinatawag sa phenomenon. So, dumako na tayo sa generalization. Generalization is another phenomenon is Pavlovian's classical conditioning. When the dog salivates by just merely hearing the buzzer, it is likely to elicit similar CS when it hears a faster or a slower beat of the buzzer or any device with quite a similar sound. Harris, on 2006, however, pointed out that the more different the new stimulus to the CS, the lesser generalization surface. So, when the dog recognizes that the sound of the buzzer is different from other stimuli, this salivating only upon hearing the buzzer. discrimination occurs. This is a phenomenon with the subject reacts differently to other stimuli. This means that it can dissipate the CS very strongly. So, naay upat ka phenomena in Pavlovian conditioning. Mo sila ang discrimination, spontaneous recovery, generalization, and extension. So, generalization is another phenomenon in Pavlovian's classical conditioning. Kapag ang iro kuno nga naglaway sa pamamagitan lamang ng pandinig ng buzzer, malamang na magdulot ito ng katulad ng condition stimulus. Kapag nakarinig ito ng mas mabilis o mas mabagal na beat ng buzzer na may kaparehong tunog. So, that's all. Thank you.